Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Change news show, which is sponsored by you, the viewer, through platforms like patreon.com/We Are Change, and your donations that allow us to give you behind-the-scenes content, sustain this media operation that tries not to be left nor right or hooey like the majority of the mainstream media, and even some of the alternative media that are becoming corporate, government, bipartisan, hyperbolic bullcrap. So yeah, let's get to the news of what's actually happening today. And of course, one of the biggest headlines today is Donald Trump's announcement that he's telling the U.S. militaries to start planning to leave Syria. News that many people took in stride, and no, it's not happening anymore. Now, of course, we have seen Donald Trump make similar statements just a few days ago, saying, of course, that the United States was planning to leave the Syrian conflict, which made a lot of people happy, especially in the anti-war community. And now we're seeing the White House press office walk those statements back, that no, there's no decision to withdraw. Maybe eventually they'll get out, but they still have to stay to, quote, finish ISIS. Now, according to many top generals, there are over 4,000 U.S. troops on the ground right now in Syria, and we have already seen U.S. troops directly engage with Russian mercenaries in deadly conflicts on the ground in Syria, which of course is raising very serious tensions between the United States and Russia. Now, of course, U.S. troops are mainly stationed around the northeast section of Syria, where they predominantly fight alongside the Kurds, which of course at the same time is raising tensions between a NATO state, Turkey. Now, after those strong statements by Donald Trump saying he wants to leave Syria, we are finding out that he was, quote, persuaded not to pull out immediately, and official statements from the White House are saying that this will not happen. And of course, this brings up an important point that many people are talking about right now, is that if Donald Trump is saying one thing and the White House is saying another thing, who's really in charge here? Now, of course, many people are pointing to comments that Donald Trump made about oil, and the Northeast region that the United States is in currently does have a lot of oil. But of course, in my opinion, in larger part, this has a lot more to do with the United States alliance with Saudi Arabia and Israel. Because just about 2 weeks ago, we got information about Donald Trump trying to get Saudi Arabia, trying to pay and control this northeast region of Syria, predominantly to make sure and prevent that the Syrian government, Russian government, and Iranian government were not able to claim that territory as theirs, preventing their influence from growing in the region, which of course is a huge invested interest for Israel and Saudi Arabia. Again, continuing with the big geopolitical foreign policy plan of Balkanization of Syria, which we're seeing unfold right now, which of course many people need to realize is a bigger proxy war between global powers. And you may ask yourself, why is this happening? Because it makes utterly no sense at all, especially for people paying attention, since because of this bigger geopolitical chessboard and proxy war between other world powers, the United States and their allies, not just to me, but according to many experts and scholars, is the main reason why ISIS even existed in the first place, which we've been saying for years. And now, even according to a new study by George Washington University's counterterrorism expert and field researcher who actually interviewed ISIS members, identified that it was Saudi Arabia as a key source to ISIS and their rapid growth. Chew on that just for a little bit. Again, a widely known fact that the mainstream media refuses to talk about. And now, in other Trump big military moves day, we're finding out today that President Trump will be sending the National Guard to the U.S.-Mexico border. Something, of course, that right-wingers are cheering about, even though the details are still very vague about exactly what will happen, and just continuing a policy that his predecessor, Barack Obama, and George W. Bush did themselves. So yeah, that's happening. And now, in unrelated news, we, of course, have the horrible events that unfolded at YouTube headquarters yesterday, where a mentally deranged woman identifying herself as a Jewish, Iranian, and in other online profiles described herself as an African-American Democrat into veganism and fitness, killed herself and wounded 3 others in a shooting at YouTube headquarters. Now, I actually just did an interview with the New York Times about this specific subject that I will be tweeting about on twitter.com/Luke We Are Change when it finally does come out. But police now are saying that it looks like the motive was this mad person's anger at YouTube's policy, allegedly demonetizing and censoring her videos. And in her YouTube videos, before they were taken down, she is seen saying saying that she's being censored for being, quote, too left-wing. And honestly, after looking at some of her YouTube videos that people were able to re-upload and repost, I think it's clear here that the problem wasn't with censorship and demonetization, but just a delusional woman who couldn't deal with her failure. Now, of course, YouTube has been previously described as sadistic for deleting channels, demonetizing people, censoring content, of course, focusing on people politically, sometimes prioritizing that over jihadi videos or even child abuse videos that we've seen on the platform. And there's a lot that the platform could be doing better, but I don't think this is the actual time to have that conversation. Just like I don't think it's right for right after any mass shooting to have people go automatically from the left saying, this is the NRA, this was a white male, without any evidence, and also people from the right saying, this was ISIS or an illegal. Again, I think the more of these events that happen, the more people get desensitized and actually forget that this is an actual tragedy. Shame on everyone trying to politicize all of these mass shootings as they're going on. All of them should have egg on their face, trying to, of course, get political brownie points off of people suffering. And both the hyperbolic left and right are guilty of this in this particular case. Now, on a separate note, what's interesting about this case is how we're hearing information from this deranged person's family, who are saying that they warned police that she could target YouTube. The father of this deranged person said he called the police and told them his daughter was missing for 2 days and not answering her phone, and also warned them that she might be heading to YouTube because of a vendetta. The police then found her in a car asleep in the town that YouTube was located and then let her go. We're also getting information that the YouTube shooter's brother warned the police in advance, and many people online are saying that we're seeing a trend here with people being mentally ill, exhibiting dangerous warning signs, and being reported to law enforcement, with law enforcement failing to act. Now, of course, a lot of people are airing their grievances about this. The police department actually responded and say that this actually did not happen, but I'm wondering, what do you think? What is your personal opinion on this matter? Of course, let me know in the comment section below, which I will be answering as soon as this video is out. Make sure to click the notification button because I usually engage in comments during the first hour that the video is out. Now, there's also a lot of people online criticizing the media and their handling of this case, saying that it actually destroys the mainstream media narrative that they have been pushing on people because this assailant didn't use an assault weapon or bump stock, wasn't radicalized by the right. She was Iranian, a female, an angry vegan, and allegedly cops were warned about this person, while YouTube has openly been voicing their concerns with pro-Second Amendment and right-wing users on their channel. They are also, of course, saying that the mainstream media will not talk about this and not give it as much attention as it deserves. And then on the completely other side, people are countering back, saying, well, the news media usually follows the principles if it bleeds and leads. There's 3 people injured here. There's not a death toll, and therefore they don't view it as important and don't give it as much attention. Also, let me know what you think because I'm very curious where you guys stand on that particular debate that is happening right now. And now in totally unrelated news, today is the exact day of the assassination and murder of Martin Luther King Jr., which, if you didn't know, in 1999, a civil lawsuit actually determined that the FBI and the Memphis Police Department played key roles in his assassination. And even though now, finally, Martin Luther King Jr. is being recognized for the work that he did, we still have to remember, when he was alive, he was surveilled, harassed, spied on, and even encouraged to kill himself by the authorities, especially the FBI, while being vilified by the mainstream media back then for his civil rights and anti-war message. And a man who actually believed in defending himself and actually applied for a concealed carry gun permit after his house was firebombed with his family inside, which of course the government denied him the right to. Which of course should make you and everyone else wonder, how would Martin Luther King Jr. be treated now if he was still alive? And hey, in my opinion, he would probably be ostracized or totally ignored, just like any other anti-establishment, anti-war voice right now. So if you're going to remember Martin Luther King Jr., remember him correctly in the historical context that actually matters. Okay, now moving forward in 3 other important news updates, we're also finding out that Mark Zuckerberg, who promised not to give out your private information to third parties, just admitted to lying to you, saying that Facebook scans all of the content from your private text, and that in total 87 million people, mostly in the United States, had their information, private information, improperly shared with third parties like Cambridge Analytica. Not a surprise there, we told you Facebook was Orwellian demonic crap years ago. Also, today we are finding out that UK experts cannot prove that the poison used on a former Russian agent actually came from Russia, saying that they have not identified the precise source of where this poison came from, which of course puts a lot of things in question, especially with the narratives we saw pushed. And in Baltimore, we are finding out how a GPS tracker on a drugs dealer car has unraveled how a corrupt Baltimore police force was robbing homeless people and reselling confiscated heroin and ecstasy back on the streets. And of course, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's why it's not good to give up your authority to the state. So yeah, that is the news for today, April 4th, 2018. I hope you guys enjoyed this program. If you did, share it with your friends and family members. I deeply want to thank everyone who goes to wearechange.org/donate to allow this broadcast to be possible, to be free, to be available to you, giving me this incredible opportunity to not only live my life freely, but to able to do work for you. And that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.